Markets Now is brought to you by the 5-year anniversary of Brevant Seeds. Here's to 5 years of not just winning, but collecting one game-changing W after another. See all of our wins at Brevant.com/wins.
Welcome to Markets Now. I'm Michelle Rourke with Don Roose of U.S. Commodities. We had an update in everything but the cattle market. Don, thanks for being with us. And let's talk about the grains, especially corn and soybeans have got pummeled here this week with the bearish report data. Do you think with a little bounce today, we finally got most of that bearish news kind of priced in or not?
Yeah, glad to be back, Michelle. Yeah, I think when you look at it, we've sank down quickly to new lows for the move, a new trading range low here, still above the August 14th low of 410 on March corn. Market just got too oversold too quick. Producer not interested in selling, end user buying down at those values. So what you really have seen is the bull spreads working in corn tells you you're at short-term value. Also on the soybeans, bull spreads working. So not that you've got a positive report, it was excess supplies across the board on the crop report that we had on Monday, bigger ending stocks on corn, wheat, and soybeans. So you've got an anchor around you on rallies, Michelle.
Gotcha. So you have a new trading range here, right?
Yeah, what we think is we were basically on March corn for months. We were sitting there, call it 435, 436 to that 453 area to the upside, 455. And what we think we've done is we've sank down to the new trading range is, let's see if we can hit those lows of August, 410. But the upside looks limited, 430 to 435, the top of the bottom of the range before. So let's see how it goes. We think that's the case. We think soybeans the same thing, something above this 1030 on March, probably some buying interest, end user buying. But at the other side, on the upside, this 1060 plus is a pretty tough number to get over at the same time on March soybeans.
Let's talk specifically about corn. Some of the other things that may have helped lift the market today. We had a record ethanol production number. Crude oil is going to the plus side as well. We've got kind of the metals on a big rally to record highs. Did that have any influence?
Yeah, I think what we had is the outside markets were commodity friendly. Like you're saying, the dollar was lower. In the 70s, late 70s, 80s, we looked at the metal market very close for direction in the market. And of course, the metal market's on fire, sharply higher again today. Think that helped. The dollar lower helped. The energy a little bit higher here. Petro grains helped. And, just the desire by the producer not willing to sell at these price levels, maybe tomorrow, but not today, gave us a lift to the upfront months, and the back months kind of sank a little bit.
Well, we're going to have to hope for some sort of a problem in the safrinha crop in Brazil. Is that our only hope for a rally in the corn market or not?
Yeah, I think when you look at it, they export a lot of corn, over 3 billion bushels of corn. They actually export more corn than we do. So Brazil, just to remind everybody that they harvest the soybeans, that's going on now. Then they plant the corn, then they harvest the corn. So that, not even out of the bag yet, let alone in the bin. So a lot of things can happen there. Argentine corn still in the, stage where it can be heard. So yeah, I think it's South America. I think that's the 1-2 punch down there, Brazil, Argentina. Then I think what we look going fast forward, I think we see what happens with this acres report. I know it's a long ways out, March 31st, but it comes at us quicker than we think.
The soybean market, though, today, just a little bit of a pop. Again, did we just see a little bounce off of support there? Or we did have some China business, over 12 million bushels. Did that help?
Well, I think the China business, it depends on who's counting, but 10 to 11 million tons bought out of the 12 million tons. So, that one is going to be completed here, it looks like, by the 1st of February. And then the demand switches totally to Brazil. But, that probably helped a little bit. Bean oil has been putting in some pushes to the upside, opposite of the other grains. That is just for some hope that maybe we're going to get some answers on this biofuel program that would be supportive sooner rather than later, particularly for biodiesel. And I think that gave us a little bit of boost to the soybeans, and I think that helped a lot.
Yeah, and Don, you said bean oil, obviously trading a little bit of optimism about the biofuels program, but getting crude oil back over $60 probably helps the cause a little too, doesn't it?
Yeah, most definitely. I think when you're talking about the petro grains, certainly crude oil's in the mix. and that helps. And our ethanol demand has been good. Our production's been very good. So, some bright spots there on the demand side of the market. And I think our future growth, Michelle, I think we're have to now look at it's really on our biofuel side as our export competition keeps ramping up, particularly out of Brazil.
Okay, you say China's pretty close to their 12 million metric ton commitment. Will they buy anything after they hit that 12 million metric tons, especially with Brazil's prices already cheaper than the U.S.?
Yeah, I think it looks like probably not. And then on top of that, we've got issues with Iran, and Trump administration is talking about a 25% tariff on anybody that's trading with Iran. Well, China does. So I think we have to watch more of the tariffs going forward on that one. But regardless, I think after they buy this 12 million metric tons, Brazil soybeans, call it 68, 80 cents cheaper than we are. So certainly they're going to switch to South America as quick as they can. My guess is that probably from February on, we go to zero almost on sales, and then we look at the summer months, see what we have there for demand from South America or from China.
Wheat market up just slightly here today. Was it just following corn and soybeans, or did it get help from the lower dollar, or what?
Well, I think the wheat market, what we found out after this report, I think we're always curious, what is fair market value? When you get a negative report and you don't make new lows, I think you have to say you're at fair market value. So I think it's not that we don't have an excess supply of wheat. It's not that we don't have too many acres of wheat. I think it's the fact that at this price level, it is what it is. And, something above $5 on March wheat is a fair market value. And I think that's what we search for. I think when you look at it, Michelle, just, we're not looking at $3 and $4 wheat. We're at some kind of input costs that are just too high compared to the olden days. So it's a new higher level. And the same's going to happen in corn and soybeans.
The wheat market actually held up better than corn and soybeans with all the bearish news of the reports, didn't it?
Most definitely. It's held these low. The low here a few weeks ago was a 501 area. Then it went to 504 area. And then on this report, it went to 507. So regardless, we're getting negative reports and we're stair-stepping up a little bit on these lows. Of course, it's a fragile market and you don't need a lot of new things coming at us. But it's one of these markets. Funds are short about 120,000 contracts and not willing to add to it a lot. So not a lot of new sellers coming into this market right now.
Let's talk about the acreage setup for 2026, Don. If you think we're going to switch acres from corn over to beans, again, reiterate how many, and will there just be some acres that will not get planted at all next year?
Well, I think that's the goal of the market, is to try and not get some of these acres planted, but not in the U.S. Hopefully it's someplace around the world and we balance this thing out. That's how it's supposed to work. So we're supposed to be the most efficient producer. So let's just see if Europe cuts back on some. Looks like South America did not, although they still have the safrinha crop to plant here yet. But I think when you look at it, you probably have to be talking going into this report that corn acres, just because we had a flip-flop last year, more corn, less beans, that we go back on the rotation. And corn acres probably should be down 4 million, bean acres up 4 million. But I think now after this report, profitability just isn't there, Michelle, and new crop prices are telling you no real big incentive. So I think you probably have to talk now in terms of 5 million acres less corn and 5 million acres more acres of beans. So we'll see. And then maybe possibly some acres don't get planted, but that's a big if right now. Usually the first year, that's not the case.
Yeah, well, we have some producers that just are going to have to go out of business after all of the money we've taken out of the market here.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think you're going to hear more cases of that coming at us.
Cattle market set back here today, Don. Was that just some profit taking? Did we run up into some chart resistance or what?
Well, this cattle market is just kind of stalled out here. We've had these big retracement levels back up, like we said, 72, 73% of the big $46 break on February cattle. What it's been doing is pushing up to these levels. We've stalled out since the first of the year around this 237 area on February cattle in the back months. But so we stalled. I think we're really waiting to see, are we a cyclical top on this market? And this is just a retracement and we're going to start to move back down again, or can we really take out the old highs? So far, I think we're just filling these initial gaps, call it targets. The feedlot's been winning the war here, forcing the packer to pay up on cattle. We do, they're losing about $200 a head, moving beef up a little bit, but beef's very subpar as far as what it needs to be. And I'm not sure the packer can push it up from here this time of year. So it's left with the fact that, can the feedlot get an advantage or can the packer get an advantage on the feedlot here? Looks like that could be the case. Of course, numbers are going to stay tight. Feeder cattle numbers are tight. Feeder cattle have moved up, sharply just because the index was too low. So call it a stall out right now, trying to decide if this is a cyclical top or we're going to make new highs, Michelle.
If you did get some higher cash trade, could you push through those levels, do you think? I mean, on the live cattle, not necessarily on the feeders, because cash trade there is still on fire.
Well, that's what the trade is looking for. They're looking for this cash market to jump, sharply here and, push the futures up. So, we'll see if that's the case. The feedlot wants to believe it's similar to last year when they had the advantage and they raised it higher. I think that's a big question mark, Michelle. I still think you have to be very concerned that we're not in a 2014-15 cyclical top. And I think we'll sort this out on the demand side of the market will be what the real key is on what happens going forward, Michelle.
And the hog market, higher today, back months, summer months, hitting some new contract highs. What's pushing that? Is it technical or fundamental?
Well, most definitely. The technicals, the chart looks good. I mean, what can you say when you're in contract highs on June, July, and August? It's bear markets don't make new highs, so it's a bull push up in here. I think a lot of it's on disease issues that we have for those months. Numbers may be down. Just been a lot of issues out here. The winter months looks like we're kind of mature up in here. We just keep stalling on the February. Same thing on the wings. October, November looks like, or not October, December, hogs trying to stall out up in here. So let's see if we're at fair market value or not. Export demand's been very good. Domestic demand's been very good. And how much of the disease issue is in the market, Michelle?
All right. Thanks so much. Don Roose, U.S. Commodities. That is Markets Now.
You were right.
You were right.
You were right.
Well, you were right. When you choose your seed brand, there's winning, and then there's...
You were right. Should have gone with Brevant Seeds.
When you choose Brevant Seeds, you don't just win, you get to be right. Don't just win. Talk with your retailer or visit Brevant.com/win to get started.